The White Grass Heritage Project is an effort to document the history of the White Grass Dude Ranch, which began in 1913 and is located at the base of the Grand Teton mountain range, just north of Jackson Hole, Wyoming. The White Grass Dude Ranch was considered a successful operation in an era when western dude ranches flourished and catered to an eastern clientele who were typically wealthy and well-educated. It was not uncommon for individuals, couples, and families to come and stay at White Grass for 4 weeks or longer and to return year after year. As a result, many lifelong relationships were established between ranch dudes and wranglers. After owner Frank Gailey died in 1985, the ranch was abandoned and the remaining 13 log structures deteriorated. In 2005, the Grand Teton National Park partnered with the National Trust for Historic Preservation to rehabilitate the ranch structures and to transform the former dude ranch into an educational center that would teach the skills necessary to preserve historic structures for national parks throughout the western states. The interview that follows documents some aspects of life at White Grass, either when it was a dude ranch or what it took to preserve the ranch and turn it into a national park training facility. A generous grant from the Charles Redd Center for Western Studies at Brigham Young University is making this project possible.
Today is the 1st of September 2014. My name is Matt Heiss. I'm sitting next to Roger Butterbaugh, who is the resident caretaker here at the White Grass Dude Ranch. And sitting next to Roger is Bill Slaughter. We are all part of the White Grass Heritage Project leadership team. Roger is our leader, and Bill and I are thrilled to be here to support. And what I thought we would do today in this short video is talk about how this heritage project came to be. And so let me just provide a little bit of context. It was on the 8th of September 2013 that Bill and I were here at White Grass. The day before was the Lotajaw bike race, the Logan to Jackson bike race, which Bill and I have been participating in for at least the last 7 years. And as part of our tradition, we would stay down in the Teton village, and then Sunday morning, after an awesome breakfast, we would get up and drive through the park. And we were doing that this morning. In fact, I think our wives, Becky and Sherry, were sitting in the car, and Bill turned up Death Canyon, and he said, "I want to go see 2 things. One of them was Black George's cabin,
Yep.
and the other one were these buildings out in the middle of this meadow." I knew about Black George's Canyon because you'd given me that article
Cabin. Yeah.
about the root beer floats for the hikers and all of that, and we were looking forward to that. And then Bill said, "Let's go across the road and cut through this meadow and just look and see how these buildings are progressing." And I had no clue what you were talking about. And me being me, I was a little bit impatient, saying, "Bill, let's get to Jenny Lake and let's get on the boat and let's go hiking." But you insisted. And so what I'd like you to do, Bill, I'd like you to explain is how you knew about this place and what your interest was in just looking.
As Matt said, that we did the Lotajaw, the Logan to Jackson race. We have done it since, I think actually we started in 2005 doing it. 2010, we had a very successful, we did a relay that year. And my son, Wes, came up to the park with us. While we went for a ride and a little hike with our wives, Wes went on his bike and explored around. And that night, we came home to Teton Village, and Wes said, "Hey, I've seen this place. Look at these pictures." He had gone into the basement or the crawl space over at the main cabin. He'd taken pictures of all this thing. And frankly, we thought it was really pretty cool. And I think the next day Sherry and I drove out here to take a look. And so I've been kind of interested in what this whole thing was. Frankly, we never knew about dude ranches before. I mean, I knew they existed, but I didn't know to the extent how big a deal it was. So last year, the next year I came to see it, next year I came to see it, and last year, despite the moaning and groaning of Sherry and Becky, Matt and I persevered and came through the meadow off to the south, and we came to the main cabin, and we're peering through the windows, and lo and behold, holy crap, there's people in there. We better get out of here. So that's basically my end of that. We had noticed it had been being rehabilitated, and it was just this beautiful meadow, and it was a piece of history that we were very interested in. And fortunately, one of the three people was Roger.
So why don't you take it from there, Roger? What you saw these two tourists peering through the window.
Yeah, they were putting their eyes up like this and all that sort of thing. And actually, I was in the building with Judy Schmidt, who is a former wrangler and dude here at the ranch for many, many years. And she was entertaining a person by the name of Pam Holtman, who is a National Park Service employee, who actually worked in this particular park and was instrumental back in the early 2000s of working with the National Park System, the National Trust for Historic Preservation, the alums from the ranch to put together a program that is really how we're operating today, creating a training center here at White Grass for teaching people to do the historic preservation. So people would come here, park people from all over the West, come here, learn how to do the work we do every day, and go back to their places and also do the same work. So as we were touring, because Pam hadn't been back for many years to see the renovations, you two gentlemen are looking through the windows, and we invite you in to look inside the building. And as we continue to talk, we mentioned that there was a reunion coming up in September 2014, and more talk about the interest by the National Park Service, alums, to begin to collect the history of the ranch as a dude ranch and then as a training center, and that we wanted to begin that formally during the reunion coming up here in a few days, actually.
Well,
Go ahead.
no, I was going to say, part of the thing is when you were nice enough, you took us into the building, you let us know what this was all about, which was quite exciting. And then you gave us a tour, and we came down here, and we had told you we're historians also. So I think that allowed us to talk a little longer rather than just the essential tour.
Yeah.
And as we started to hear Judy's story, you told us about the reunion. I pointed to him and I said, "You need to do the oral histories. This is the guy. You need to record these."
Mm-hmm.
And of course, I'm thinking, how do I get out of here? I got to find a window. I got to find an exit. You know, I don't need one more thing in my life. But take it from there.
Well, I mean, that started a whole discussion about what we could be doing. And, I mean, it's transferred to here we are a year later. I mean, if we had listened to Sherry and Becky, we would have done the Lotajaw again this year.
We wouldn't be in this room.
We wouldn't be in this room.
And I would say, as a married and family therapist, this is the only time I will say this. There are times when you don't listen to your wives. And you end up doing wonderful projects like this, which I am most appreciative of.
You know, and when we came in this room, we heard Judy's story, and it was frankly quite riveting. And I think that began with it. We talked about your role, and then she talked about what it was like. And I think, speaking for myself, and I think Matt would agree, and that is, we were mesmerized. We were blown away by what they did, what it meant to her. That is something Matt and I have talked about quite a bit. Is why did this mean so much? I don't think we've talked to anybody who hasn't just really
talked about the power of transformation.
There it is.
That this place has that kind of thing, and so let me just say this, sort of moving towards conclusion, unless there's other things you guys want to talk about. At first, I was a little bit perturbed that Bill was volunteering my effort.
Now let me say, this is not unusual. This is a daily life occurrence between him and I.
This is. And
I'm in the middle.
Yeah, that's
you're
why we're
in the
seeing it
middle.
this way.
But I'll tell you, the rest of the day, I began to think about this, and I knew nothing about dude ranches except for that movie with Billy Crystal that I saw, you know. And it had, basically, I had no interest in it. But as we continued to hike and drive and go through the park that day, I started thinking about Judy's stories, and I started thinking about Roger really wanting this to happen. I mean, I had a little glimmer of your vision of this, which developed over time, and we began to email, and then every month we'd have a video conference on Skype or something like that. And my vision of this just really expanded a lot. So I went from being a little bit resentful to totally committed.
That is the usual course of but I want to say that Roger is the man. I mean, his love of this place is why this is happening.
Yeah.
And Matt's skills and abilities is allowing the organization of this and our interest in being able to do this quite excitedly and competently. So these two men, powerful team.
And this part of the team is working very hard to archive hundreds, if not thousands, of photographs from the ranch, and that's going to be part of what we do too.
And I'm the one who gets Matt to do things, so that's I'm the pusher.
And you know what, I think Bill has also been inspired in two ways, and I just want to get this on the record. Bill was the first one who mentioned the possibility of a Red Center grant, just in passing. I remember he's coming into my office and saying, you know, because we were wondering, should we go to the Wyoming Humanities Council? Should we go to the Jackson Hole Historical Society? Where are we going to get some money to do this? And Bill just off the top of his head said, what about the Red Center? Well, I just happened to have a friend working in the Red Center, so I called her up, and that's what got the first thing going.
She guided us through this.
She guided us through, and that's Jessie Embry. We need to mention her. And also our gratitude for the $1,500 we got from the Red Center, that it's paying for gas and food and park entrance
the
fees.
Charles Red Center is very important to Western history, and we're very appreciative of their participation in this.
And I think there's one other thing that needs to be mentioned, which will be borne out at the end of this week, and that is that you invited two of our co-workers, Brittany Chapman, who has done a lot of public service, who's been great with photographs, scanning them, naming them, who's very bright and articulate, and who's had some profound oral history experience. And then Emily Utt, who works in our Historic Sites Division, who herself is a professionally trained historic building preservation person?
Yeah, that's
I don't know. She'll tell us her title. And one of these days we'll take a group shot of the whole project team, and we'll have Emily and Brittany there. And I think your inviting them is going to facilitate a lot more documentation work. So I just wanted to point out two little bits of inspiration.
Also, we thank our spouses for putting up with this and helping out. Sherry
Do I
Slaughter
always forget my spouse?
and Becky Heiss. Thank you.
Yes.
And I'll add two things. One of the first things you said to me last September was, if we're going to do it, it's going to take a year to plan it.
Yeah.
And it has taken every every bit of that to plan to be where we are today. And I will add also my wife Harriet, who will be here a little bit later in the week. She has been living this for the last year in my home, our home in Kentucky, and without her support it wouldn't happen either.
And it's great to be here at White Grass. It's heaven.
It is.
Thank you, Roger.
Oh,
Thank you, Roger.
Thank you.
Archived in the Grand Teton National Park and the Jackson Hole Historical Society and Museum are additional Frank Gailey stories, White Grass videos, historical photographs, and artifacts from the ranch. The archives also include oral histories from dudes, wranglers, community leaders, preservationists, and staff from the National Park Service.